Hi, I'm Kim and this is Homestead Witchery, and today we're going to talk about ethics. I'm going to be looking at my notes today, so I'm going to be looking down. Plus, when I'm thinking, I just look all around. Nothing's happening in this room, it's just me. But if I look like I'm just zoning out, looking over there, it's because I'm thinking really hard. It seems like this is something that has come up a lot recently with the Black Lives Matter movement, and cultural appropriation is a big topic. I think as a witch, it's my responsibility to be ethical in my practice. So I looked up real quick this morning a definition of ethics first. Ethics are moral principles that govern a person's behavior or how they conduct activities. I think that's important to us because I feel as a witch I have a responsibility to be ethical in where I get things, how I do things. I actually feel like anybody who calls themselves a witch they have that responsibility. And if I feel like you're not doing it, yes, I judge you because I'm INFJ, capital J. I'm judgy. Oh, this came up because somebody mentioned Wish in a group I'm in. And I have a problem with that website. It is not actually an individual seller. It's a platform like Etsy is. I'm sure some of the people who own Wish also sell on it. I would not be surprised. But Wish is a platform where individual sellers like me sell their stuff. Unfortunately, they don't really vet anything, kind of like Etsy is starting to. There's lots of intellectual property theft on Wish. If you ever look at tarot cards on there and they're smaller than the regular size, they're smaller than the size that the actual artist usually sells, it's probably stolen. They stole the kit. They stole the cards, they sold the images, and they printed it off, and you're paying the thieves. You're not paying the original artist. As an artist, that pisses me off. So, if you buy from Wish, I judge you. And it's not in a positive way. AliExpress, let's talk about them. Here's where I come in as a buyer. I bought things from AliExpress. When I first started out, I bought things from Hobby Lobby. If you go back in my Instagram, way back to when I first started, you can see components. They're obviously from Hobby Lobby. They're from AliExpress. You can see that they are because they're the same thing everybody else has, which is partly why I started making my own, because I don't want to make what everybody else does. But the problem with AliExpress, which is also another platform like Wish and like Etsy and eBay. The problem with that is that these sellers, some of them are using what I would call slave labor. They're paying people cents on the hour, or they're paying kids. And the crystals and gems that you can get on there and the jewelry, they more than likely are not ethically collected, like the crystals. They're probably not ethically collected if they're real. And I'll touch on that again later in the video. I'll touch on real versus synthetic in a little bit. So you have slave labor, and they're not collecting them ethically from the earth. They are doing things like strip mining. They're not being careful of pollution. And when you buy from AliExpress, when you buy from these sellers, you're supporting that, which I have a problem with. Do I have stuff? Yes, because when I first started out, I didn't know these things, and now I know different, so I'm trying to change, which is why I'm telling you guys. Will I continue to have things that in my shop where you say, but you said not to do that, and I can tell this is from wherever? Yeah, because I'm a freaking rock hoarder, and I bought a lot of stuff. I've been doing this, what year is this? 2020. I've been doing this 6 years. That's a lot of time to buy gemstones and cabochons and crystals. That's a lot of time to buy stuff. I have a lot of stuff stocked up. You can't see it, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 bins there. Probably 12 bins here. My closet's full of bins, all full of jewelry supplies. Don't be a hoarder, kids. But that's why I have so much crap. That's why I have all this. I got a lot of stuff, and a lot of it came from places like this. I don't continue to buy from those places because I'm trying to be better. Just be careful where you get it. Try to find an ethical source. And I'll go into that at the next step. But as far as herbs, sage, everybody's losing their mind over white sage right now. I have white sage because I bought a lot about 3 years ago. I don't buy it anymore, and I don't sell it in my shop. I use it myself because I have it and I don't want to waste it. In my shop, the sage I sell in my kits, or the sage that I use in the intention powder that I send out if you tell me you're a witch and you buy something, like the freebie, that stuff I grew. The problem that I have seen with white sage, according to what I'm reading, is that it comes from communities and cultures where they weren't allowed to use their own medicine, but now people who look like me are profiting off things they weren't even allowed to use themselves. That's fucked up. You don't have to use white sage. Find an alternative, which we're getting into next. I try to find things that my people did, and that's what I use. I'm using garden sage. I'm using the sage I grow is native to this area. The people I bought it from call it Mexican sage. I don't really know the scientific name. They called it Mexican sage, so I'm calling it Mexican sage. I don't actually know the species specifics, any of that. And that's what I put in my kit, stuff I grow. Alternatives. Alternatives to buying crystals off AliExpress or from eBay or from Instagram from sellers in India. One of the gemstone sellers that I use is called Columbia House Gems. I think they might only sell wholesale, but you can look into it. They're an ethical company. Their like platform is that they're an ethical company. So check them out if you're like a seller. If you're a individual, I don't know if they'll sell to you. Another alternative is using synthetics. Some of them you're probably already using. Citrine, it's probably heated amethyst, which is probably heated quartz. You're probably already using it. It still has the same properties. You can still use it. A lot of what you're doing is telling things what they need to be doing anyway. Sterling Opal is a company that I love. They produce beautiful synthetic opals that we don't have to go rip up the earth to get. I don't know about the details about chemicals that they're using or what they're producing waste products. I don't know about that. I do need to look more into that. But the product's beautiful. So look up Sterling Opal. Self-mining. There are mines all over our country, all over the US, all over the world, but I think most of my viewers are in the US. Google mines near you. There are self-mine places where you can go get turquoise or tourmaline or quartz. Join your local rock hounding group. They'll take you all over the place. You would be very surprised at what you can find near you. When I was living in Colorado, there was Amazonite up like in Pikes Peak. You'd be shit surprised. Look for a rock hounding group near you. Buy used crystals. This morning, somebody said, "Hey, I broke my crystal. What should I do?" Somebody said, "Bury it." Or another one said that they grind it up, and I didn't read the rest. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I didn't read the rest of your post. But don't bury it. Find someone who cuts stones near you and ask, "Hey, will you take these 2 pieces of crystal and cut them and polish the ends so I have 2 crystals now?" Give it to somebody else who doesn't care if they're broken. Don't just throw them away. Used crystals are still crystals. Broken crystals are still crystals. They still have the properties that you wanted. Would I continue to wear, like if you get one of those little crystal points with the silver, and you know, everybody's seen them. They're like $3. When you drop it and it breaks, I don't know that I would continue to wear something that broke because I'm a little superstitious, but you can still use it. Cleanse it, put it in the moon, put it in the sun, however you need to cleanse that piece. It served its purpose as far as being worn. It still has the same properties that it had before. You can still use it in your work. Herbal alternatives. Talk to your parents and your grandparents and your aunts and uncles. Find out where your family's from. Look around in their garden. Hey grandma, how come you're growing this giant rosemary bush? What's this time about? They'll probably say, I like cooking with it, but they might say something else. I did the DNA thing. I did the DNA test, so I know most of my ancestral background is from Great Britain and the British Isles. Some of it is also from Middle Europe, like Czech, Bohemia, and some is from the Nordic area up there. So I feel okay drawing from all those. I don't have any Native American or indigenous ancestry, no African, no Jewish, no Asian. I'm a mayonnaise sandwich. That's what I use. I know that they had kitchen sage, I know they had pine resin, things like that. So that's what I use in my practice, my private practice. And it's a lot of what I put in to the things that I send out at my shop. But you don't just have to burn stuff to cleanse or to clear or whatever. You don't just have to do that. You can use sound clearing to cleanse. You can use room sprays, incense, crystals. Clapping. Just clap. That's room clearing. Sound clearing. It might be room clearing if you're really loud about it. Sing. Those are all ways you can still do it. A floor wash would work to do cleansing. Use it on your walls. Use your besom is how I say it. Besom bothers me because it's not how English, like, that's not the way I learn to pronounce things. I don't know how to pronounce it. I say besom. Use your besom to sweep all that bad energy out and then dip it in floor wash to cleanse everything. Intention powder, salt. These things all work. One of the ones I love, I've gotten pine resin from her, lodgepole pine, because the wood here is in short supply. I have 2 pine trees and I don't like messing with them. They ask me not to. Although sometimes I'll get pine needles from underneath. They said that's right, and pine cones. But I don't take live things off the trees. And they don't really have a lot of sap coming out of them because it's the desert and I'm not damaging them to pull that stuff out. But Desert Rose Farm, she does wildcrafting. Look on Etsy for people doing wildcrafted herbs. Try to grow your own. Try self-mining. These are all things that you can do to try to be more ethical in your practice and in your life. And they're things I am working on doing. Also, just because I'm sitting here saying all this stuff, I know some of you see me online, like on Instagram or on Facebook. If something looks contrary to what I'm saying now, you can call me out on it. I try to be transparent. Ask me, hey, in that video you said you don't use white sage, but here you say it's included in this kit. I don't think that would happen. Hopefully I've taken all that stuff out. Or Palo Santo is another one I don't use. If you see me doing something that doesn't match what I say, ask me about it. I'm not going to bite your head off. I think is it. Just try to be a good person. Try to be nice. Try to be good to the earth and good to everybody around you. And that includes being responsible for the choices you make. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Obviously from Hobby Lobby. You're citrine now.